Welcome back to Color Class. I'm Sarah.
I'm Lucinda.
And today we are talking about those 4 added seasonal palettes that come when we talk about the 16 palette system. Now, these we know. We get so many comments
You
about
can't
these.
find them. They're missing.
Oh.
We are intrepid. Think of us as Indiana Jones and Indiana Jones. We are intrepid explorers bringing you these 4 lost seasons from the bowels of color analysis, and it's something you don't get to see every day.
That was very interesting.
It's
The
weird, huh?
bowels?
Okay, oops. The basement, the hidden room,
The hidden gem.
the hidden room. Because
room? Yeah.
when we talk about these missing 4 seasons, let's back it up. Mm-hmm. Let's bring some history
We do
here.
have to, yep.
If there is anybody who can bring some history of Color Me Beautiful, it's us. Because 30 years ago, I was slaving away, toiling away at my desk at Color Me Beautiful. And we expanded from 4 seasons.
Spring, summer, autumn, winter.
Correct. To 12.
So we added in the dominant characteristics of
minus, let's do the math here.
Yes.
If we added 4 dominant characteristics for each season, we would have had 16 palettes. Mm-hmm. We did not. We went with 12. Why? Because that 4th for each of the seasons is rare. You don't see it a lot. And when you don't see a palette very much, that makes inventory of the physical color palettes wasteful, a pain, expensive, too much to deal with. Because the way it works in reality back in the day was you'd have to buy these color palettes in bulk, thousands of them.
Yes.
And inventory one of each. Mm-hmm. So instead of inventorying one of 12, you'd have to inventory 16. And those 4, they're rare. Those people who fall into those 4 categories, well, we're finding they're not as rare as we thought, but they are rarer.
I feel like everyone who comes within that 16 palette system comes to us, though.
Yeah, really. We are the queens of those 4 missing palettes, because people come to us and say, I had my seasons done. I've been through 3 different seasons, right, and it's never right. And inevitably, that's like, that points us to one of these 4 missing seasons, or one of our balanced seasons, which is a whole different video. But anyway, so these 4 missing seasons, it was an economic decision.
Yeah.
It simply, they were there. Mm-hmm. They were real. And you're going to find out how real they are when I tell you what they are. They just weren't common enough to support the purchase and the inventory and whatever. And at that time, the company had makeup available in 12 seasons as well. So if you're trying to support 12 seasons, the company has since decided that 12 seasons is too much to inventory, and they went back to the original 4. Mm-hmm. But we didn't, and we don't have to, for one very special reason. We do our items digitally on call printing. So
I was going to say, so we can afford a little bit more to do that.
No. I mean, the digital aspect of it, everything is, if we do a completely custom color portfolio for you, we print it digitally and you are good to go.
Right.
And there is no need any longer to have backup inventory for all this stuff that you have to invest in up front and wait for it to move through. Mm-hmm. Because you went to business school. What will that tell you?
We were able to figure some things out.
Yes, right here. So every one of the 4 seasons, when we went to the 12 seasons, had a subcategory that dealt with a dominant characteristic. When you get to the dominant characteristics, you get latitude between both. You could be soft or you could be clear. Now, it was determined that the majority of springs, because their hair was bright, were clear. But we have since uncovered in our archaeological I'm back to Indiana Jones or in our investigations. But there are a lot of soft springs. And there are soft springs who are frustrated at being soft springs.
Right.
So they were never dealt with. So that's number one. That's one of the 4 missing seasons, soft springs. And those of you, if you have hair that is not full of lowlights and highlights, it's kind of all one golden color.
Yep.
If you have eyes that are hazel, kind of golden hazel greenish, if you can have any color skin, but if it's a little tinted from neutral, a little tinted toward warm, you just might be a soft spring. And there's a palette for you. Now, our next palette, with the autumn palette, it was divided up. And in theory, you could have a warm, a deep. Each of these elements are required for autumn, warm and deep. And then you in general were thought of as soft because your hair suddenly was deep. Your skin tone, was kind of blended. That just sort of softened you up, right?
Right.
And so it was determined years ago that in the autumn subcategory, you could be a deep autumn, a warm autumn, or a soft autumn. Clear autumns, we didn't want to hear from you because that was extra inventory.
I will say clear autumns are probably the rarest. We've only done a couple.
And they are stunning, by the way.
Yes.
I just want to throw that out there. Clear autumns basically have all of those elements except soft. They have either one of two things: vibrant green eyes, vibrant blue eyes, and you are out there, you know who you are because we've done your color portfolio, or you have a deeper skin tone, but, and this is key, your eyes are very visible and you can see a lot of the whites of your eyes. That inevitably will make you a clear autumn. And the way that we decide if somebody is soft versus clear is we will take their photograph, we will convert it to grayscale, and we will look at the white point and the black point.
Right.
If you're soft, your white point and your black point will be like grayish and darker grayish, but they'll be really close together. But if you're clear, it will be whitish and blackish. They'll be really far apart, and that always applies. So we found our clear autumns, clear summers, and think of them as almost iridescent. When you go
very
out,
clear coloring, strong, shiny. Like if you ever looked at somebody and you're like, man, they are just so like shiny and ethereal and
like think of wrapping paper. You go out and you find that iridescent wrapping paper and it's got all those colors in it. That's their palette. So basically you're looking at this person. She has hair that is cool, on the cooler side, cool. She's light in general, but she's clear. Her eyes are glass-like. And then her palette is exquisite because it's all of the colors that you would find in something that's iridescent and translucent. And they have that quality. So what have we done? We've done spring. We've
summer,
done
autumn. Now we need to do winter.
Thank you.
A soft winter. And I feel like not many people fight us about soft winters.
They don't. And it's a lot more common than these other three. And people have discovered online that there are soft winters.
Right.
The typical 12 palette winter system is deep. You can be a deep winter. You can be a cool winter, right? And you can be a clear winter because, again, looking at those two seasons, everybody assumed that the summers of the two cool seasons, that was softer. Winters, because there was greater contrast, black point to white point, that they were all clear.
They're supposed to be like the jewel tone girls. They're supposed to be just draped and be able to wear those really bold, intense colors. But what happens if somebody doesn't have that high of contrast, but they also have dark hair and they're cool?
Yes. And Sara has made the point many times, and rightly so, with this extra palette, the missing palette is a soft winter. With the soft winter, you get maybe the hair isn't black and shiny, and maybe the eyes aren't, vivid blue, or what, maybe they're not the epitome of the winter palette, but there are many, many people who have soft winter characteristics.
Right.
And you get a different palette. And we found online that those people are sometimes called
Dark summers, deep summers, anything along those lines.
but really what they're trying to say
Right.
is because summers are light and cool. What they're trying to say is we need depth. We need depth for this softer palette.
And it's usually because they have darker hair.
So there are soft winters, and there is a palette for soft winters. And that makes the 4 missing palettes that have never been dealt with before because of economics. And you should have those. You should have access to those. And there are a lot of soft winters. This makes sense, right? So we have for you, 4 new missing palettes.
And it's funny because we do get a lot of comments that, oh, this doesn't exist, but a dark summer does exist. And it's like, well, a dark summer would just be a soft winter. That's all it is. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe you have one, but the other 3 don't exist. And it's like...
And they do, because what happens is all of these colors, we say a color is always relative. Well, in color theory, I'm back to art again, big chunks of these aren't missing from palettes. They haven't been removed the way color analysis removed these people because of economics.
And it's funny to think about because if you're looking at people, we come in all different shades, every single shade. So why would we leave an entire palette that is built? Right. Why would we leave out a palette that is built? We have colors for them. We know what shades that are light, clear, and cool, for an example. Why would we just toss them out the window?
I have the answer, because for every soft spring that we had back in the day, we had 150, 200, 300, 500 springs, bright springs. So they just economically, if you had to buy 5,000 pallets and you could sell all 5,000 pallets of the soft spring, but you could only sell 2 of the bright spring, or I'm sorry,
flip that. Clear spring versus soft spring.
Yes, and you could only sell 2 of the soft springs, and you would be left with thousands of pallets built for soft springs. What are you going to do?
Right. It's like makeup. There's not a lot of spring shades when it comes to makeup. So springs out there are always desperate to find spring shades, but not a lot of people purchase them because there aren't as many spring. And don't get me started on makeup. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't even go there.
Thank you for the digital aspect of what we do, because we print everything on demand.
Right.
And when you can print a palette on demand, you can expand your palette. So the first thing we did was we expanded to 16. Then what did we do?
Brought in our neutral balanced palette. So somebody who is in between warm and cool.
And do you know how many people are in between warm and cool? Everybody is in between warm and cool.
Our soft neutral balanced palette is our best selling palette.
And granted, people come to us and they, we get the outliers.
Oh, 100%.
And they come to us and they say, oh, I couldn't, I tried this, I tried that one. It just didn't feel right. And we said, we got you, because it didn't feel right. It wasn't right. And what happened was, when you get the outliers, you go to multiple color analysts, that forces them to make a judgment call. We are not about judgment calls. We don't do judgment calls. We do science and color theory, because they didn't have a palette for you. That was the bottom line. They didn't have one to sell you. That's it.
Or they'll just mark off all the colors you can't wear and leave you with a couple that you can wear.
Yeah, it was funny because this one client, and she was recent, she said, yeah, I got my colors done at XYZ. And they told me, here's your palette. But they X'd out all the colors that I couldn't wear out of that palette. And it was like half of them. And we were like, what?
Yeah.
We don't do that. That's not.
Yeah. So
That's us.
I mean, speaking of our custom color portfolios, if you would like to have a palette done with us, the link is down in the description below. Head on over to our website and we would love to do it, especially if you are somebody who has very unique coloring or have gotten multiple color analysis in the past and they're like, you're a spring, you're a summer, you're a winter, you're
Or
an
you
autumn.
just suspect that
Yeah.
it's something your palette, something just isn't quite right. Because we get so many. How many
Yes.
people say those words to us in the very beginning
yeah.
when we're talking to them?
They feel like something is off.
Just was off. Something was off.
Yeah. So hop down in that comment section or the descriptions, click the link, go to our website, sign up through there. Also, if you want to talk to other color like-minded people, we have an amazing community over on Patreon. I highly recommend heading over there because all of the information that we do give, like these graphics and things, it all gets put on Patreon. So go grab the information over there as well. Did I hit everything?
I think you did.
All right. I know this video probably went very long, but lastly, I'm Sarah.
I'm Lucinda.
This has been another color class, and we'll see you in our next video.